Hi everyone, my name is Susan Moniz, owner and artist behind Artesao silicone cookie molds. In keeping with the Alice in Wonderland theme, I've created my own version of a tea party featuring a cute hangable dormouse cookie and flower pop cookie characters. I'll show you how simple it is to make this scene with my flexible silicone cookie molds. A little bit about my molds. They're all handcrafted from start to finish by me. I sculpt each design and cast them individually in food-grade silicone, so all the designs are exclusive to my company. Now let's get started. First, a list of supplies. Cookie molds. Today I'm using my mouse, daisy, and mini flower cookie molds. Now, the mouse is brandy new. It's making its debut today, so I'm excited to be sharing it with you. And it should be available on my website starting today. Doughs. Now for the mouse, I'm using my go-to Susan's favorite cookie dough recipe. It's a sugar cookie style dough, and it's a dependable, pretty much my go-to recipe for almost any of my molds. I'm using that for the mouse, as well as I'm using a peanut butter cookie recipe, just to show you the different hues. The mouse can look different in the different hues of the dough. For the flowers, I wanted to lean into summer flavors, so I combined a strawberry dough with a lemon dough to make a version of a strawberry lemonade cookie. Of course, you can simplify and just use a basic cookie dough recipe for the whole project. You don't have to have different doughs. It will still work fine. Now, some of you cookiers out there might have favorite cookie cutter recipes that might work for the cookie molds. Often the recipes I use are based on cookie cutter recipes that I've just tweaked a little bit to make sure that they have better detail retention. The other thing is all of these recipes are available for free on my website, so you can give them a try, see what you like. All right, next, I like to use small hard candy balls for the eyes of the mouse. You can usually pick these up at grocery stores, hobby stores, online. If I often can't find the dark colors in one bottle, I will just get the mixed colors and pick out the black and purple to use for the eyes. You just have to make sure that they are hard all the way through. They make them nowadays that are more pearlescent and they're soft, so they will melt in the oven. If they're the real hard kind, like mini jawbreakers, those don't typically melt in the oven, so those are the kind you want to find. Candy pops for the flour cookie pops. I get these at hobby stores and online, all over the place. I usually try to find a couple of different sizes to have different heights. Candy melts, whatever brand's your favorite, and a piping bag to put them in. So you can pipe it. It doesn't matter the color because it's going to go on the back of the flower pops. Next is luster and petal dusts. Whatever brand is your favorite is fine. I don't have any particular brand I always use, but I do use the Sugar Art and Oh Sweet, Oh Sweet Art as well. I use those quite often, but it doesn't matter, whatever your favorite one is. Paintbrushes to go with them, and royal icing eyes. These I made myself. In all different sizes. These are the jumbo ones, and then I made medium and small ones. You can make them yourself. It's a snap for anybody who does royal icing. It's not hard even for someone who's never done royal icing before. They're really easy to do, and I have a little video that I've attached to this tutorial as well. You can also buy them, but you want to make sure that if you buy the candy eyes, that they're the kind that won't melt in the oven. The ones that come loose in a bag or in little bottles, they tend to be not oven stable. They will completely melt and ruin your project. So if you're looking to buy candy eyes on the internet, you look for the ones that are backed by paper, like those old school ones, you have to peel off the back of the paper. Those are the ones that typically are really royal icing, so they don't melt in the oven.
I've expanded the supply list, so here's a new rundown. We've got cookie molds, various cookie doughs, powdered sugar, hard candy balls, pop sticks, candy melts in whatever color you'd like, a piping bag, an optional heating pad to keep them at a nice meltable stage, luster dust or petal dust, a little paint palette if you've got one, paint brushes, and this little sponge brush comes in handy, vodka, various royal icing eyes that you can either make or buy, a little vase or bottle, different kinds of sprinkles, mini marshmallows, and toothpick.
Okay, let's get started molding cookies.
First thing is you want to dust the cookie mold cavity with powdered sugar or flour. It's not always necessary, but it's good as a safety net, just in case the dough is a little soft and wants to stick in the mold. You take your cookie dough, and as I said before, this is called Susan's favorite cookie dough recipe. It is much like a sugar cookie and gives good detail retention. So just push as much as you can fit into the mold, using your thumbs and fingers just to get a decent amount in there. And then I use my handy dandy mug. This is fabulous for saving wear and tear on your fingers when you're doing a lot of cookies, and it helps to press the cookie dough evenly into the mold cavity. Hope I'm not shaking the camera too much. So you just kind of press it as you go along. And I like to hold the sides of the mold together as I'm doing it so it doesn't spread too much. I then clean up the edges by pushing the dough in case there's a little bit that's gone over the edge, just to give a nice clean sides to the cookie. I like to give it a little squeeze. You can see when I give it a little squeeze, it comes away from the mold. Flip it over, and then you carefully keep your fingers along the outside edge and peel the mold off of the dough. You try to avoid putting your fingers in the middle so you don't accidentally distort the cookie. And here you go. I could clean up that paw, maybe put that paw, do that again to clean up that paw, but I was able to fix it right there. So let's see, can you see him? Yeah. To get him in focus. There we go. So easy peasy, and you get this fully designed cute little mouse that can hang on a cup. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that again with the peanut butter dough, just to give you another look-see on how quickly it can go. I'm dusting it, flattening this out a little bit, pressing it into the mold cavity. Sometimes you might have a little bit too much dough, and if you do, you can just push that away with your fingers or a knife and make sure it's flush with the edges of the mold. Like that's a little bit too high, so I'm pushing that out. I'm going to go ahead and use my handy dandy mug. It's great that it's a nice palm-sized mug because it's not cumbersome and it just makes the work go quickly. I'm going to do just a little bit more here. and squeezing the sides to get nice clean edges. Keep my fingers along the outside, and there we go. Now this is where I use the hard little candy balls, and pick out, like, I'm going to pick out the purple one here for his eyes. Tweezers come in handy too. I didn't put that on the supply list, but they definitely come in handy. Put that in there. I think this is a black. There you go. Gives them a little more personality to have the irises. So as you can see, I've placed these on a parchment paper. You can put them on parchment or silicone mat, whatever you prefer. One thing you want to do before you pop them in the oven is you want to make sure that you haven't distorted the little space between the paw and under its arms. Sometimes you can unmold it and you don't realize you've hit it and you've collapsed it. So you want to make sure that that's nice and spacious. You can also change it if you have like a thicker mug, that might work. You give it a little more space, or if you have something that's a little bit thinner, you want a tighter feel. But you'd have to experiment with the type of glass that you have, or a cup, whatever you're using, to see what would work best. But there you go. Simple way to get this all this personality in a cookie in no time. All right, so here they are after baking. I made another one without the eyes added before baking to show you a technique you can do to add the eyes post-baking. So I'm going to start off with that. So you need a little sugar water, which is basically just powdered sugar and a little water. Just to make enough to make a glue. This is way more than I need for this particular application, but you get the idea. So you're going to make that, set that aside, and then I'm using a white matte dust, so a petal dust. I'm going to add a little bit more here. And I like to add vodka as the vehicle. That's just my go-to. I know other people like to use clear vanilla and other things like that. I find this works great for me. So just mixing in to get it to fairly thick. Don't want it too watery. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to paint the whites of the eyes in. It just gives it a slightly different look to the mouse's face. So let's add a little bit more. You can do this after putting in the iris, but you have to be a lot more careful around the little black candy ball. So this way, you can be a little bit more messy. Okay. And you can see the mice look pretty much the same, just with a slight difference in the hue. This is a richer, peanut butter color, a little more golden. And the other one is more of a white, creamy colored mouse. Okay, so we do that. Then we grab that sugar water. Put a nice generous dot there and there, and add the little eyeballs now. Just have to let that sugar water set. But there you go. So that's another way to add eyes. Just different kind of eyes. So just to show how these candy balls, the hard ones, they stayed in place really nicely. They didn't melt. They just are really a good option for eyeballs. All right, next we're going to add just a little bit of color to the mice. I like to use the dry luster dust. I'm using a pink petal dust, so it doesn't have any shimmer, but you can use the kind that have shimmer as well. I just like the fuzzy look that the matte gives. So just going to do the inside of his ears or her ears. Haven't really decided if it's a he or she. There you go. And then just a little bit on its nose. You can wet it for the nose if you want a little bit more color. Or you can do the nose brown or even black. I like keeping it in the pinks. And you can even add a little pink on the cheeks if you want. So super duper easy. So you don't even need to add the color, but it does make it a little more warm and fuzzy. It looks, I like the color of the pink against this richer dough too. It looks kind of, I don't know, it looks even cuter, I think, against the peanut butter dough. And we're going to add a little pink to his nose. So there you go.
Two cute little dormice, slightly different, but both really sweet. That can, oops, you go the other way. That can hang on a cup. All right, now let's make the flowers.
We're going to dust the mold with powdered sugar, so there's no problem with anything sticking. I'm going to start out with the strawberry in the middle. You only need a teeny tiny amount because you only really need to cover the surface. A little bit more than that, but not by much. Just the surface of the mold. You want to press it in there. I'm just going to the first circle design. Okay, so I've made, I think, 12 of these, and I'm just putting them in every other little tip of the flower petal as we go around. Oops. I've made some of these with the yellow in the middle and the strawberry on the outside. This one we're doing the strawberry on the inside and the yellow on the main, the big part of the petals. So, all right, it's in there. Kind of make sure they're pressed in there nicely so they won't move on us. All right, now we're going to take the other color. Now you want to, in general, whenever you're doing two-tone, you want that cookie mold, or the cookie dough that's on top, to be pretty soft, at least softer than the dough that's underneath if you can, so that you're not putting a really hard dough over a soft dough and you're smushing the dough underneath out of place. Doing some of that, smushing it down a little bit. Let's get the handy dandy mug. There we go. a nice squeeze so you can see the dough coming away from it a little bit. Flip it over. And again, keep your fingers around the outside. Try not to press on the inside. There you go. I'm going to do one more with the opposite colors, with the yellow in the middle and the red on the outside. Just a little tiny bit. Now, speaking of doughs, most of the time when you're using cookie molds, it's really important to have chilled doughs. Sometimes the recipe doesn't call for it, but most of the time you want to use a chilled dough. Oh, hold on. I want to put those little things in first. Getting ahead of myself here. So, I'm going to put these in the other space. Yeah, you usually want to use chilled dough. It helps to maintain details during baking. And another really helpful hint is once these are molded, you want to pop a sheet of the molded cookies in the freezer. It really helps to firm up that butter and make it so it retains detail even better. So what I usually will do is I'll make a sheet of molded cookies, and then I will preheat the oven. While the oven is preheating, I will pop the sheet of molded cookies into the freezer and let that set. Okay, now we can put the other layer on there. Okay. The other thing you can do is if you have a lot of cookies, taking off the excess, if you have a lot of cookies to make, most molded cookie recipes will freeze really well. So you can mold a bunch of them, put them on sheets of cookie sheets, freeze them, and then once they're hard, you can stack them in Tupperware and with paper towels or wax paper or parchment in between the layers. And then when you're ready to bake, I mean, you stack them into a Tupperware after you've put the layers, and then when you're ready to bake, you can just bake them right from frozen. So if you're doing a whole bunch at one time, you don't have to mold, bake, and decorate in one day. Okay, here we go. There we are. So the little highlights a little two tones on the end. Just add a little more pop and fun. And the same technique goes with the mini flower. Dust it a little bit. This time I'm going to add a little tiny bit of yellow in the middle. It's a pretty shallow center, so you don't need much at all. And I think I'll add a little bit. Gonna make a rub a little bit. Oops. There we go. Got a little bit along the edges. It doesn't have to be like perfect. It's supposed to be nature, right? Nature is not always symmetrical. Okay, then get some strawberry. Pop it in there. You don't even need the mug for this one, unless it's really, really chilled dough. All right, squeeze the edges. out. So pretty simple. So here's where the royal icing eyes come in. Although I prefer the little eyes for the mice, the little candy balls, I like the big googly eyes for the flowers. I think they make them a little bit more goofy. And you can play around with what size goes where. My daughter likes the big eyes on the little guys, but I'm not sure if I like them better than the little eyes on the little guys. So you mix it up and do whatever you want. And again, these can be added before baking because they don't melt in the oven. Such a bonus. Alrighty. While the flour cookies are baking, let's add some color to the pop sticks. I used green petal dust mixed with vodka to create a paint and applied it using a small sponge brush. Mini sponge brushes really come in handy for these kind of applications because they make the work go so quickly. Embellishing the daisies, or the flowers, I'm pulling out that same pink. This is a petal dust from Oh Sweet Art called Watermelon. I like it because it's bright and I like the matte. You can also use a luster to make it shiny, but I kind of liked the matte look on this. So you can use the same color on top of it, or you can do the accent color. In this case, I'm going to be using some of the pink. And you, of course, can use this wet, which I've done with some of them. This one I'm sticking to just using it dry. And you can play with where you put it, just like you can play with where you put the two-tone cookie dough. You can vary how you arrange what sections you put the dough in to make certain designs. So this just makes it pop a little bit more, but it's not necessary. Adds a little fun. I'm going to do the same with this one, same colors, but I'm going to go down the petal instead, just for a change. So really, it's so much of this is just your own creativity. This is a springboard for you to discover how you want to decorate, what your style is. I've also done these cookies like this with the eyes and put a buttercream frosting in between to make them sandwiches. So you don't even have to turn them into pops. You can just leave them as is or sandwich them with, I did a strawberry buttercream inside, made with that same freeze-dried strawberry powder. It just smells incredible and it's so yummy. Adding a little highlight to the mini flower as well. Doesn't take much. So this is a hack that someone taught me quite a while ago, and I've been using it ever since. I use candy melts a lot, so this really, really comes in handy. You put the melted candy melts in a piping bag, place them on a tea towel and just wrap them in a heating pad. I put it on low, and it just helps to maintain them at the precise kind of meltable stage that you want them. Another hack, if you have a little bit more time, is you can actually put the unmelted candy melts in a piping bag, place that in the heating pad, and maybe put it on medium, and in due time that will completely melt, and you don't have to use the microwave. So yeah, it's a great hack, and it really helps so that you don't have to worry about them getting hard on you and then you have to reheat them. So you're going to take those candy melts you've had warmed up, and you want to just give a nice generous amount along the back edge. Add your pop, give it a little twirl to get coated, and find a good place for it to set. You can always add a little bit more if you feel that it's thin on top. For some of the little ones, I doubled them up on one stem. And in that case, instead of putting the candy melt center, just did it off to the side. Like that. We'll make this guy on this side. Make sure I got that in there. Yeah. And you can just let those set as is.
For the flowers, I wanted to put them in little tiny vases. You can do that. You can put them in a bigger vase. You can not make them into cookie pops at all, and you can just have them as cookies. But in this case, I'm going to show you what I did to keep them stable in a little tiny vase. I added some mini marshmallows. Not all the way up, just a few. This helps to keep the pop sticks stable, because the weight of the cookie can make the pop swing. So putting these in the bottom helps to keep it in the place that you first stuck the pop into. So then now I'm using sprinkles, all different kinds of sprinkles. Just a mishmash of the bigger pearl balls that are hard and little flat hearts and flowers. It's really just a mishmash of different kinds of sprinkles, because that's what I had on hand. And I'm filling the vase with the candy sprinkles. Maybe a little bit more. So you can see it. Once the cookie pops are nice and set, you take the little vases you made that have the sprinkles and marshmallows down at the bottom, and you just press it in until you feel it hit into the marshmallow. That way it doesn't move and swing. And you can do that as you desire. That's why I have some of the pops are a little shorter than others, the pop sticks, so it gives you some height difference. And you can also alter where you put the candy melts. If you want a little higher, or you want to have the flour to sit a little lower, then you do the candy melt up at the top so that the flour will sit a little lower. You can take one of the shorter ones, put it down front, and arrange it just like a bouquet. So there you have it. We made some flower pop cookie characters and adorable little dormice that you can hang on your coffee, your tea, a mug of hot cocoa, lemonade, gin and tonic, whatever you fancy. So, oh, and also can just hang on the vase. So I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at susan@artesaocookiemolds.com. If you'd like to check out more of my tutorials, I have many of them, additional ones for many other designs on my YouTube channel and also on my website. If you'd like to follow me on Pinterest or Instagram, you can do that too. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.